Hey guys, it's Wes from Paradise Valley RC. Today I'm messing around with some funny stuff. I've got the new rock weight system from Pro-Line that has the moving weight in it. And when I opened up the package, I was a little bit weirded out at first when I discovered that it looked like there was only one in there. It was kind of weird. When you first open up the package, this is what greets you, and then this other thing that's kind of just sitting in there inside that foam ring, and you're like, okay, you know what? I guess that this is all self-contained, which they don't really tell you on the packaging because there's no instructions. But you know what? I can figure stuff out. But look at this. Isn't that cool? It picks up your screws and then takes them for a ride. Well, here's the system, and you can take this out, and what I'm going to do so that it is just kind of smart and easy, I'm going to take the ring that the screws would go through, and I'm going to put the magnets that way just so I can always know screw heads out, that's where the magnets are. So we put the case together like so, and you can see that we're going to put a screw right in here. So we'll put one in, bring in our little tool. Alright, so we're going to do that 6 more times. Okay, just to test, I've stuck a screw here, and now we're going to rotate, make sure that everything's turning, and there's no binding. I don't think this is going to work to clean your fish tank or the outside of your windows with a pad, but that's kind of the idea. So here we go with the instructions for Pro-Line that they include in the package. Now, there's something that's here. It says the magnet should be positioned close to the tire, but must not contact the tire. They're talking about the knuckle assembly here, so we'll get into that in a sec. So here we are with the instructions for the TRX4, which is what I'm working on today. So there's a threaded screw that is no head, so basically a stud. It's going to go into the top of the steering knuckle. You're going to put a nut on, then the bracket with the magnets, with 2 screws that hold that onto that, then a washer and a nut on the top side. And that's going to go into here. So I will give you a picture of that in a sec. So here's our threaded stud, and I put a little bit of thread lock on there, and you can see we don't want much, just a little bit to wet the threads, and we'll stick that into our brass assembly that we've installed here. So we got our threaded stud in. We're going to put the washer, not washer, this is a bushing that works with the kingpin normally. Put you in there. Then they want us to put this little nut on, like so. And rather than bore you, we'll come back to this. Okay, now that we got the nut cinched down, we want to make sure that this whole assembly moves freely with no binding. And that's all good. The course is we're going to assemble this. Oh my god, look, it's already done. Right, so here is your assembly. This is a plastic piece, and these are metal screws. So try not to get too crazy. Just turn these down enough that they're going to seat, and just give it a 2-finger tweak. And I'm not talking about laying into it, because you'll strip it right out. So just a 2-finger tweak is just plenty. You'll also notice this slotted hole, which when we get into this assembly is going to allow us to be able to adjust in and out for that. So here's what we got so far, and I've adjusted it so that it's the furthest out that it can go, and we have to mount up the tires and the inner inserts, and we'll come back to this to do some fine-tuning. Okay, so here's the assembled unit, of course, with the Pro-Line foam that was supplied in the package. Now, all this I like so far. It's pretty good. Now, this is going to be your inner ring for your Pro-Line bead lock, because I tried these with an RC 4-wheel drive DrStupid wheel, and I could probably put it in the lathe and spin the sleeve of the DrStupids down to fit inside this area where my index finger is, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a guaranteed fit for the Pro-Lines. So we're going to mount these onto a set of Pro-Line 29 2790 Impulse 1.9 aluminum wheels, which have a bit of heft to them already, and hopefully this will go together really well. We'll know in a few minutes. And one other thing I didn't quite like was that this is the foam that came with the Pro-Lines. It's kind of stiff in my books, so I have some foam from something else. This is an old monster truck one. It's actually an Ofta/Hobao from the Monster Pirate, and these are nice and mushy. Gives your standard insert, which I trimmed for the trapdoors that were on this before. That's what they look like, but they'll never work with the inner ring. So here we have our tire with these inserts and everything together, ready for final assembly of the outsides of the Pro-Line. So let's do that and come back. Well, there we go. That's a nice, crisp looking tire on a nice rim. Backside seated really well. She's ready to rock and roll. Let's throw some screws in it. Well, here we go, putting in the final dress-up screw for the wheel. And this is your mounted trapdoors with the Rock-Tek weight system mounted. Now, I happen to have a little package of some cool stuff here that was on the wall, and it was from Treal. This is the part number for it. This is a center cap that fits probably a 2.2s and everything else, but it gives you a 4mm nut, which is a threaded body. You can see them there, and they do have a nylock in one end. They're not visible there, but there is a nylock built into that. And then you've got this O-ring that goes inside your little cap, and then it screws on there after you've got the whole assembly together, and it looks kind of sweet. Gives you that really scale look. Something else was that we're using a slightly offset brass hex hub on the TRX4 here, so I did a little tweak to the bracket that holds the magnet in place so we can get it close enough to the wheel and tire to affect the other magnets that are inside of the system. Well, here we go. We've got it all mounted up and are ready to rock and roll. So we'll just take a quick look over the rig. And there's the packaging. So this is the Rock-Tek weight system from Pro-Line installed on our TRX4 with Pro-Line's Impulse wheels and Treal's hubcaps. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll try and get something else really cool for you to look at. All right, thanks a lot and have a good day.